Do you feel a deep, unshakable pull towards something greater, yet can't quite grasp its meaning? This isn't coincidence. If you've been called, a powerful prophetic warning is for you, a message that will illuminate your path and reveal the profound significance of your journey starting today. My friends, just listen for a moment. Can you feel it? That quiet tremor beneath the surface of your everyday life. It is not an accident. That restlessness, that sense of a memory you can't quite recall, it is a sign. You were marked for something more. This is not a message of comfort for the crowd. This is a prophetic warning for the chosen. You have been selected, pulled from the multitude, and given a calling that carries the weight of eternity. And a calling, my friends, is a dangerous thing to ignore. The path ahead is not paved with ease. It is lit by a comet's fire, a trail of light that demands a journey through the dark. The world will not understand your assignment. It will call you strange, unsettled, even lost. But the blueprint of your destiny was drawn before you drew your first breath. So I ask you now, do you have the courage to read the scroll of your own soul, to accept the warning and embrace the glorious, terrifying weight of your purpose? If this truth has found you, then let it be known. Press a like upon this video, leave a comment with the number 7s, and subscribe to this channel. For here, we do not run from our calling. We awaken to it together. That quiet tremor beneath the surface of your everyday life, it is not an accident. It is a divine disturbance. It is the first faint echo of a call you were born to answer. This is not a feeling to be medicated away, not an anxiety to be soothed with platitudes. It is the Spirit of the living God stirring within the depths of your soul, creating a holy unrest that the comforts of this world cannot satisfy. You see, the calling does not begin with a blueprint or a map. It begins with this ache, a profound sense of displacement, as if you are a citizen of a forgotten kingdom and the language of this earth feels foreign on your tongue. You move through the routines of life, the career, the relationships, the pursuit of happiness, and yet there is a whisper that says, this is not all there is for you. This is the divine disturbance. It is the friction created when an eternal purpose rubs against the temporal confines of a fallen world. It is the gentle, persistent knocking at the door of a heart that has been barricaded by doubt, by fear, by the overwhelming noise of the mundane. Many spend their entire lives trying to silence this disturbance. They pack the emptiness with more work, more entertainment, more distraction. They numb the ache with substances or the pursuit of hollow successes. They mistake the divine disturbance for a personal failure, a flaw in their own constitution. But my friend, this is not a flaw. It is a feature of your design. The shepherd is searching for his sheep, and the first sign that he is near is that you feel lost from the flock you were never meant to permanently belong to. This holy discontent is the very proof that you are chosen. The world system is designed to make you comfortable in the cage, but the divine disturbance makes the bars visible. It makes you restless. It makes you hungry for a food this world cannot provide. This disturbance is not a destination, but a departure point. It is the stirring of the waters. It is the feeling that there's a book with your name on it, filled with pages you have not yet been brave enough to turn. It is the sense that you are being prepared for a moment you cannot yet see, trained for a battle whose dimensions are still unclear. This is not a passive feeling. It is an active, gnawing, persistent invitation. It is God's way of unsettling you from a settlement that was never His will for your life. He is making you uncomfortable in your comfort zone because that zone is a prison and your spirit knows it. So do not despise this ache. Do not run from this restlessness. Lean into it. Ask the hard questions in the quiet moments. What is the source of this longing? Why do the victories of this world feel so empty? Why does the suffering of it feel so personal? This divine disturbance is the first thread, and if you pull on it, the entire tapestry of your calling will begin to unfurl. And as you lean into that divine disturbance, as you begin to pull on that thread, you will quickly discover that this calling is not a gentle suggestion. It is a weight. It is a burden placed upon the shoulders of the chosen, a sacred responsibility that alters the very axis of your life. To be called is to be enlisted in a conflict that rages in the unseen realms, a conflict where your obedience, your faith, your very life becomes a territory of strategic importance. This burden is the gravity of glory, and it is a heavy thing to carry. This weight manifests as a knowing, a deep, unsettling certainty that you are accountable for more than your own happiness. It is the understanding that the talents you were given are not for your own account, but are currencies of a kingdom you are mandated to invest. It is the crushing awareness that your choices, your prayers, your steps of obedience ripple out into the spiritual fabric of reality, influencing battles you cannot see and shaping destinies beyond your own. You feel the pressure of eternity in your present moment. You walk through a world asleep, carrying a truth that feels like a fire in your bones, a truth that the world is not ready to hear, and that you, in your human frailty, are not always ready to speak. This is the burden of the call. It is the loneliness of Noah building an ark on dry land under the scorn of generations. It is the tension of Jeremiah prophesying to a people who would not listen, his heart broken by the very words he was compelled to declare. It is the weight that pressed upon Esther, the realization that her royal position was not for her comfort, but for the deliverance of her people, and that to remain silent would be to betray her very purpose. This burden separates you. It sets you apart. Your friendships may grow thin, not from conflict, but from a fundamental divergence of path. Your family may not understand the decisions you feel you must make, the risks you are compelled to take. You will find yourself in rooms full of people and feel entirely alone because the one thing that defines you, this pressing, urgent, non-negotiable purpose, is the one thing you cannot easily explain. This is not the burden of a daily chore or a difficult job. It is the burden of a destiny. It is the yoke that feels too heavy for your own neck, yet you find it cannot be removed. You can try to ignore it, to set it down and walk away, but then you are haunted by the ghost of the person you were created to be. You walk through life with a spiritual phantom limb, feeling the ache of a purpose you have chosen to abandon. To embrace the burden, however, is to find a strange and supernatural strength. It is in the carrying that your shoulders are strengthened. It is in the acceptance of the weight that you discover you are not carrying it alone. The same hand that placed the calling upon you moves underneath the load, sharing the weight, teaching you how to stand straight under a pressure that would break an ordinary man. The burden is not a sign of disfavor, but a mark of trust from the divine. It is the evidence that you have been deemed strong enough in your weakness to carry a piece of his glory into the world. And this burden, this sacred weight, inevitably carves out a space around you that can feel profoundly solitary. This is the isolation of the chosen. It is not merely a loneliness of circumstance, but a fundamental separation of spirit, a growing chasm between your perception of reality and the world's slumber. You begin to see through a different lens, one calibrated by the Spirit, and the view is often unsettling. Where others see coincidence, you see divine orchestration. Where they see random tragedy, you feel the shudder of a spiritual battle. You speak a language of purpose and calling, and you are met with polite nods or confused stares, the meaning lost in translation. This isolation is the wilderness where the called are refined, a necessary detachment from the chorus of the crowd so you can learn to distinguish the one voice that truly matters. This separation is not a punishment for the chosen. It is a prerequisite for their purpose. You cannot be woven into the tapestry of the world if you are still entangled in its threads. This isolation is the process of being unwoven, of being set apart, so that you can be re-threaded into the design of heaven. You will find that former companions, even well-meaning ones, will unconsciously seek to pull you back into the fold of a normalcy that would now feel like a prison. Their advice, their concerns, their plans for your life will often stem from a framework you have been called to transcend. To walk in obedience is to sometimes walk away from the affirming voices, to make choices that appear as foolishness to a world that operates on a different logic. You become a stranger in your own land, a resident alien whose true citizenship lies elsewhere. This solitude is where the soul is pressure tested. In the quiet, away from the noise of human approval, you are left with only the echo of your own fears and the unwavering truth of your calling. It is here that you discover whether you are following God for the blessings or for God Himself. It is here that your identity is stripped bare, no longer propped up by titles, relationships, or achievements. You are just you, alone in the wilderness with the one who called you. And it is in this place of seeming emptiness that your true foundation is laid. When no one is applauding, when no one understands, when the path is dark and you are utterly alone, your yes to God becomes the most powerful prayer you will ever utter. This isolation forges a faith that is resilient, a conviction that is unshakable because it was not formed in the warmth of community, but in the cold, hard vacuum of solitude with the divine. This is the painful grace of being set apart. The loneliness is a crucible that burns away the need for external validation. The misunderstanding becomes a shelter where you learn to find your worth in His eyes alone. The silence becomes a classroom where you learn to hear His voice with a clarity that the crowd could never offer. You stop trying to explain your path to those who cannot see the map, and you learn to walk in the confidence of the one who drew it. This isolation, while painful, is the very thing that purifies your motives and strengthens your resolve. It is the fire that separates the gold from the dross, ensuring that when you finally step into the fullness of your calling, you are not doing it for the approval of man, but for the audience of one. And so, in the quiet of that isolation, a new work begins. The divine disturbance has shaken you. The burden has weighed upon you. The solitude has stripped you. Now, with the noise of the world faded to a distant murmur, you are finally able to attend to the most critical task, decoding your divine blueprint. This is not about writing a life plan or setting 5-year goals as the world understands them. It is a far more profound and spiritual excavation. It is the process of uncovering the original intent, the master design that was woven into your spirit before the foundation of the world. You are searching for the eternal signature of the Creator upon your soul. This blueprint is not found in a single moment of blinding revelation, but in the patient, prayerful piecing together of a sacred puzzle. The pieces are scattered across the landscape of your life. One piece is found in the passions that have always burned within you, even those dismissed as mere childhood dreams. Another piece is hidden in the unique sorrows you have endured, the specific broken places that have given you a capacity for compassion that others do not possess. Your natural talents and your spiritual gifts are pieces of this puzzle, as are the recurring themes of the scriptures that seem to leap off the page and speak directly to your condition. Even the struggles, the opposition you have faced, are not random obstacles. They are contours on the map showing you the shape of the territory you are called to conquer. This requires a different way of seeing. You must learn to look at your life with prophetic eyes, to trace the finger of God in the seemingly ordinary events of your past and present, that seemingly chance encounter, that closed door that felt like a failure, that peculiar dream you could not shake. These are not random occurrences. They are clues. They are divine data points. You must become an archaeologist of your own destiny, gently brushing away the dust of disappointment, the rubble of wrong turns, to uncover the artifacts of your purpose. This is a work of humility and honesty, of asking the Spirit to illuminate the patterns you have been too busy or too wounded to see. This decoding is an act of intimate collaboration. You are not handed a completed scroll and told to simply read it. You are given fragments, whispers, and a promise that if you seek, you will find. It is in the seeking, in the wrestling with the mystery, that your character is shaped to fit the calling. The process itself is a preparation. As you slowly, faithfully assemble the pieces, the picture that emerges is not just of a destination, but of a person. It is a revelation of who you were always meant to become. You begin to see how your peculiarities, your strengths, and even your weaknesses are not mistakes, but are integral to the function you are to serve in the body of Christ. You understand that your life is a specific, intentional answer to a problem that will exist in the world. You are God's personalized response to a need. To decode your blueprint is to discover your unique and irreplaceable place in the grand cosmic story He is telling. And as this blueprint comes into focus, as the shape of your destiny becomes clearer, a sobering reality begins to settle in. This is not merely a path of self-discovery, it is a corridor of consequence. With the revelation of purpose comes a prophetic warning. To see the map is to understand that there are perils along the route and that your choices carry an eternal weight. This warning is not born of a desire to frighten, but of a fierce and fatherly love. It is the urgent whisper from the throne room, cautioning you that the enemy of your soul has seen the light now kindled within you, and he will do everything in his power to extinguish it. The warning is this: the clarity of your calling will make you a target. The more you step into your divine identity, the more you will confront resistance. This opposition will not always look like a dramatic external persecution. Often, it will be a subtle, insidious warfare waged in the hidden places of your mind and heart. It will be the sudden onset of debilitating confusion when you sit down to pray. It will be the wave of overwhelming weariness that washes over you just as you are about to take a step of faith. It will be the old, familiar voices of accusation that rise up to condemn you for past failures, hissing that you are disqualified, that you are a fraud. It will be the temptation to compromise, to settle for a 90% version of the vision because the cost of 100% feels too great. This is the warning. To be spiritually vigilant, for the battle for your destiny will be fought on the terrain of your everyday thoughts and choices. This warning also speaks to the danger of the call itself. A calling left unfulfilled does not simply remain dormant. It becomes a source of deep spiritual frustration, a well of bitter water within you. To know what you are called to and to willfully walk away from it is to invite a soul sickness that no earthly medicine can cure. It is to live with a divine discontent that curdles into regret. The warning is that there is a stewardship over this revelation. To whom much is given, much is required. The dreams, the visions, the promptings of the Spirit, they are sacred trusts. To ignore them, to bury them out of fear or a desire for a comfortable life, is to risk a hardening of the heart, a gradual deafness to the very voice that once called you so clearly. This prophetic word is a call to alertness, not to anxiety. It is meant to gird your loins, not paralyze your feet. It is the sober understanding that the journey to your promised land will pass through a wilderness and that there will be giants in the land. But the warning is always coupled with a promise. The one who called you is faithful. The same Spirit that reveals the blueprint also provides the armor. The one who issues the warning also walks beside you through the fire. He does not show you the danger so you will turn back, but so you will press forward with your eyes wide open, your spirit reliant not on your own strength, but on His sufficient grace. The warning is the final necessary preparation of a soldier before he steps onto the field, ensuring he is not naive about the cost, but is fully confident in the victory secured by his king. Yet, this warning is not a destination. It is the final, crucial preparation before a dawn, the divine disturbance, the burden, the isolation, the decoded blueprint, the prophetic warning. All of it converges on this single pivotal moment, the awakening. This is not merely a decision you make, but a transformation you undergo. It is the moment the sleeper truly opens their eyes, when the pilgrim finally understands they are already on the road, when the soldier grasps the weapon that has been in their hand all along. It is the culmination of the Spirit's patient work, the glorious instant when your perception shifts and you see your life with all its pain and promise as part of a cosmic narrative authored by God. This awakening is a shift in identity so profound it rewrites your entire existence. You are no longer a person seeking a purpose. You are a purpose walking in the form of a person. The old labels, the broken, the victim, the outsider, the struggler begin to peel away, not because the memories are erased, but because they are redeemed, repurposed as fuel and testimony. You realize that your past was not a random series of events, but a training ground. Your struggles were not meaningless punishments, but the forge where your spiritual authority was hammered out. The very things the enemy meant to destroy you with become the cornerstone of your ministry to others. You awaken to the truth that you are not a passive observer of your life, but an active, willing participant in a divine strategy. This is not a passive state of being. It is a dynamic and ongoing alignment. It is the conscious, daily choice to clothe yourself in the identity of the called. You awaken to your authority in prayer, understanding that your words are not just sounds, but spiritual decrees that shape realities. You awaken to your position in the Spirit, seated with Christ in heavenly places, far above the petty principalities and powers that once seemed so intimidating. You begin to walk differently, to speak differently, to see the people around you not as they are, but as they could be in the light of their own calling. The world becomes a different place, not because it has changed, but because the lenses of your spirit have been cleansed by revelation. You see fields white for harvest where others see only chaos and decay. This awakening is the integration of all you have walked through. The disturbance finds its rest in surrender. The burden finds its lightness in the yoke of Christ. The isolation finds its community in the fellowship of the Spirit and the company of other awakened ones. The blueprint becomes a living document breathed upon daily, its pages turning as you walk in obedience. The warning becomes a source of wisdom, a constant reminder to lean not on your own understanding, but to trust in the one who goes before you. The awakening is the point where you stop asking God to bless your plans and begin to yearn to be found faithfully standing in the center of His. It is the end of your striving and the beginning of your flow in the river of His Spirit. It is the moment you realize you were never just a person with a calling, but that you are the calling itself, made manifest for such a time as this.